Hello, this is Andreas Nest, business coach. Today I will be talking to John Cauchi, who runs a company called Identity Destruction. And I just wanted to learn a bit more about his company and why he called it that way and what is he actually doing. So John, thank you very much for seeing me.
You're very welcome.
So tell us more about your company.
Well, we are a shredding company based in Chichester, and here at St James Industrial Estate we have a shred as you wait service where local householders and businesses come in with their paperwork and we shred it as they wait to give them peace of mind and to protect them against the risk of identity theft.
Okay, and that's where the name came from, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, and so how did you start this business? How did you get into this?
Well, historically, I always wanted to run my own business, and maybe about 15 years ago, I decided to set up a local cleaning company, and part of the remit for cleaning an office was emptying the bins. And when I was doing this, I found that the bins were full of paper, and so I decided to take on the challenge of trying to figure out how we could recycle the paper for our cleaning clients. So, cut a long story short, I found out a way that I could provide a business to recycle paper and then cardboard, and set up a company, a recycling company. So I sold the cleaning company, and we began to collect from offices paper and cardboard. And from there, over the next couple of years, we began to collect plastic bottles and drinks cans, and then we began to provide a shredding service as well.
Okay.
At the time we were based in Hampshire. And we had about 500 customers that we collected from on a regular basis. Yeah. And at the time, back in about 2005, we were the leading company for recycling for small to medium enterprises.
Wow.
So that's where I cut my teeth on the recycling shredding. Okay. So over that time, we had maybe about 10 staff, had a baling operation, so we shredded paper, began to learn about different waste streams. And that was good. We set that up as a social enterprise, and that was my first proper company. The cleaning company prior to that was just a one-man band with a couple of cleaners, so it wasn't anything huge. Moving on a bit further, we set up a new company. I sold that company when it was about 4 years old, and we set up a company called Home Shred, and that was more designed for providing a shredding service for the domestic market. And at the time, I was actually working as a waste consultant in the spare bedroom at home. And bought a small shredding machine from Staples, and I began to shred some confidential paperwork, and the machine began to overheat and break down, and had to remove staples and paper clips. And myself personally, I got frustrated and thought to myself, my old business, who had a huge commercial shredding machine, that could shred my paper better. And I thought to myself, perhaps there was a market for people like myself at home who had paperwork but didn't want to spend hours slaving over a very frustratingly slow machine. So I set up Home Shred. A friend of mine very kindly lent me £800 to build a website. A journey really of learning about domestic shredding. We linked in with a number of partners across the country. So previously I was just based in Hampshire and West Sussex and Surrey. But by linking in with other shredding companies, we were able to post our confidential waste sacks across the UK, and then much localised in a local village. And then the recycling was county, and then the home shred was then national. So each step of the way began to pick up tips and learn by trial and error most of the time. And then eventually we decided that we wanted to as well as doing domestic shredding, to try and tackle the business side of shredding. 14,000 customers, so it's
on a UK-wide base.
And we probably take on maybe 50 to 60 new customers a week. Have done over the last, say, 5 years. But the issue is it's only one-off jobs. So hence why we decided we wanted to begin to look into the business side, whereby repeat work we could grow. But we wanted to try and figure out a business which was separate than Home Shred. Home Shred's a great name. It's called Home Shred UK. It's got a good website presence and it's a strong domain. So the Identity Destruction was formed about a year and a half ago. We are reliable, we are professional, and we're great value. We are a family-run business. It's my wife Claire is the director on operations, and my son-in-law Dan is the branch manager here, and we the other thing as well, with regard to the industry, I think a lot of the larger national shredding companies are very inaccessible. They tie you into 3 to 5 year contracts.
Wow.
Ours only 1 year. There's hidden costs, and even just communicating with them, because they're so huge, it's very hard just to make a phone call.
So that all sounds really good. Now tell me about your challenges. What wasn't easy? What was difficult?
I think running a business on a daily basis, that there are challenges. I think for me personally, as in my own character, I'm quite confident, and I don't see things as a problem, but as a challenge. And I enjoy challenges.
What gave you the biggest headache?
The biggest headache. I think the biggest headache is trying to find the most cost-effective way to market. I've tried to find the best way to spend your money on reaching potential clients.
Right.
It's trying to find a company whereby, as a marketing company, that you can trust, that's going to deliver what you're trying to achieve. We've tried different companies, and some have been good, some have been horrendous, unfortunately, and we have had our fingers burnt. And you learn from those mistakes. But it's crucial in my mind to do your homework and to look at reviews before you make a decision. And also to do a trial initially. The issue is with anything to do with online marketing, you're looking at 6 to 9 months to see if it works, and that's always a challenge.
You see, in coaching we call that the water pump effect. Do you remember the old water pumps that were in the ground and you had to pump a while? It's the same with your marketing. You keep pumping, nothing happens for a while, but then when the water comes up and actually comes out, you have a nice flow of leads perhaps coming in. But you can never stop the pump, because the water will go all the way back, and the effort that's needed to keep the flow keep coming back is very high. How do you motivate your staff?
I think from my own personal experience working for other people in my 20s, saying thank you is one of the biggest things that used to motivate me personally. People you can reward people by giving them a bonus, a bit of overtime, but at the end of the day, if you value people, it changes them. And I think if you look at a person's potential and you encourage them, you train them, you can watch them grow a foot higher. And classic example, we took on our son-in-law Dan about a year ago, and his background wasn't anything to do with working in an office. Hadn't really done emailing before, had never spoken to anyone on the telephone, and it was really tough. We trained him over the first few days of how to conduct himself on the telephone, and it took him a good few weeks to bed in. But continual encouragement and training and development, and also I think sharing the dream of what we are trying to achieve with all of our employees, including our driver called Russ, who's on the road every day, Monday to Friday, working 12-hour days on his own. It's a case of saying thank you, encouraging him, and when we meet together, again, just bringing him into the vision of the company, because I think sometimes employees just feel that they're just an employee. But I think we're quite a tight team here, and I think it's essential for everyone to understand what we are about as a company, our vision, our ethos, our ethics as well.
Good. A bit like what happened when JFK was walking around the NASA factory in the early 60s when they launched the Apollo program. And he spoke to one of the janitors who was sweeping the floor, and he says, so what are you doing here? And he says, well, I'm helping sending a man to the moon. And he was a janitor.
Yes, it's true,
And is that what you do, you think? Is that kind of philosophy where everybody is incorporated and is part of the big mission?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's there's nothing worse than feeling worth less.
And from a finance perspective, do you have to take big loans to get this company going, or are you self-funding? How did you do all this?
Originally on the home tread side, my parents lent us some money to begin the process, which we paid them back. With regard to this business here, we decided to, with identity destruction, we decided to do it ourselves with very minimum input. So I think over the years we've figured out we figured out the basics, that you had to have a fantastic website, you had to have presence online with Google, So we invested into a good website and a good guy who we've been with for about 8 years now, a guy called Russ Anderson.
Yeah.
He's a programmer, so he does our CRM, the customer database behind the scenes, which manages the entire company from sending out certificates to customers to managing the route planning.
Yeah.
So it's a very clever back end. So we've invested into that system, and because we've got a good system and a good website, that enables us to be effective in our day-to-day operations of the company. But yeah, so with regard to fortunately, because we used HomeThread as a cash cow, there's very minimal funding that's gone into it, and now it's beginning to self-fund and to make money. It's growing now, which is really encouraging.
Okay, so you're growing organically, and that's going well. Okay,
Yes.
Is there any big things that are coming up that you want to share with the audience? Any news about identity destruction? Anything that you think is worth mentioning?
I think the main thing is the GDPR really.
GDPR.
It's, we're very keen to, as well as keeping people safe with regard to the secure shredding and destruction of hard drives and paperwork. We want to try and educate people in an office-based environment to not only just to shred paper, but to try and change the ethos of the work environment, to make everyone security conscious, that any paperwork has to be put into a console and then securely locked down prior to collection. So that's the main thing. We're trying to educate people. A lot of people call up and say, "Hi, we've got say 10 archive boxes of paperwork." And we say, "That's fine. We can come and collect that from you and shred it for you." Then we say, "What about your ongoing requirements?" "Oh, that's fine. We don't need anything for another year." But we say, "What about your day-to-day paperwork? Where is it going now?" "Oh, that goes into the waste paper basket under my desk." We say, "We can't do that."
No.
With effect from the 25th of May, all paperwork needs to be accounted for. Any paperwork detailing an individual's name, email, address, be it a member of staff or a client or a supplier, has got to be shredded. So that's what we're trying to do. So the main thing for us to say, make sure you are GDPR compliant.
Absolutely.
The compliancy for GDPR is extremely comprehensive, and we too as a business are still going through that process, but we know that with regard to paper and hard drives, we've got that sewn up for our clients.
Great. Okay. Well, John, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you very much too.
So guys, there's some good lessons in there for you. So first of all, there's GDPR coming on the 25th of May. So make sure your business is ready for that, but also can your business take advantage of that, like John Cauchi has done. So that's it for this week. I will speak to you again in the next week. Bye-bye.